should be able to connect to chat, I hope. Hey, I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I wrote for No Longer Quivering for over 10 years, well, nearly 10 years. It was actually over 10 years total, but just under 10 years for Pathos. I wrote about problems in religion, particularly in fundamentalist religions that are involved with quiverful. That's what that was all about. And I've been saying for a long time now, if you really need to recover from some dangerous, toxic religion, the best thing you could do, besides get a cat, is to go to a church with a state, federal, regional oversight. My aunt has a little bit different take on that. She says go to the church of your childhood. Now, I don't say that because I know a lot of people, the church of their childhood could easily be something like some kind of very weird fundamentalist kind of thing. Oh, thank you. Now, I'm not really dressed up. I'm just wearing this very thin, cheap cotton dress I've got that's got a ruffle on it and earrings. It's not really dressed up, but then again, the gate is open and I'm expecting workmen, even though I feel kind of chagrined because I accused one of the workmen, hey, realification, of stealing my fire stick off my TV in the living room, and turns out he didn't. I found it this morning. It was shoved behind the TV with all the wires. So that's what's going on here. I just feel like I can't believe I said you stole my fire stick. Thank you, thank you. Only because we have people coming by to do work, plus another guy coming to give us an estimate on the painting. Like I said, I am bound and determined to have the living room and the kitchen repainted from that awful orange to a nice neutral. And I'm not a person that does neutral colors. If it was me, I would paint it turquoise, but I have to sell this house eventually. So we've gone with careful neutrals instead of all the crazy colors I would like. My baby's name is Pork. We call her Porky, Porcupine, and all these different names. She first showed up a year ago with another cat, and they would always be side by side. We'd say, look, there goes Pork and Beans, Pork and Beans, Pork and Beans. Beans is still terribly afraid of her. I've only been able to get near enough her to pet her once. She'll let me get within about 3 feet of her, but after a year, she doesn't come any closer. Pork lived on our deck for 6 months, and then recently, well, some months back, decided she lives in the bedroom now. She lives in the bedroom, and she's my cat. Thank you, Lisa. Small Town Joe, it's going to be a challenge for me because they don't have zero VOC paints here, which kind of blows my mind. In the States, I always bought the zero VOCs, and I painted everything but when we remodeled the house for renting it. Yeah, Beans is a scaredy cat. I used to do all the painting. Now we lived here. We're living in a place where you can pay people like $4 an hour is a good wage, even for something like painting. I painted this bedroom, and my husband was good, and I didn't have any reactions. But when they had to repaint the ceiling, I was having mucho reactions. What I'll do is I will be in here, AC going, filter going, the draft stopper under the door, and I will be pushing the meds like you have never heard to be able to be here and be okay with the paint fumes. 2 or 3 days, I should be fine. N95, yeah, I've done that too. Small Town Jewel, the other thing I've done is I've sometimes gone away when that's happened. I have a cabina, I have a guest house. It's about maybe 1,000 square feet, maybe 900, 8 or 900. I don't really know how big it is. I'm going to have to figure that out one day soon. But every time something terrible has happened here, like we got flooded twice before we put in the French drains, I moved my butt in there. If there's something going on here, and the houses here are actually built so that if they flood, all you have to do is pour in the bleach and sweep it out the door. Or as I did, I got the pool guys to come. They drained. They did something with the pump for the pool house, and they pulled all the water out of the house. It was like 4 inches deep with the pump into the pool, and then they cleaned out the pool and replaced some of the water. It was kind of a mess. I was talking about that recently on Twitter because without a box of Kleenex was complaining about how they had to shock treat their pool and do all this stuff. If you stay on top of your pool maintenance, it's not a problem. It's not hard to do. It's not even expensive. And if they made my pool sparkling clean after the debacle with the flood quickly, it can be done easily for anybody. Um, yeah, so I do have my plans. I probably will move in the cabina for 3 or 4 days until the paint fumes, the majority of them fade, and I can be back in the house. Yeah, the off gas can be really, really a tricky time. And off gassing with plastic for me is even worse. If I buy something that's plastic, that it's very fumy, it has to go outside for a while. It has to go outside for a good week or two. I was going to see if my latest issue of Vanity Fair was nearby. Every time I get Vanity Fair, I have to pull out all the perfume ads and put it outside for a week before I can read it too, because I start wheezing from the extreme perfume samples in some of these magazines. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but I have to do it. Mass sale requires it. And I like breathing. I like breathing just fine. In fact, I had to laugh yesterday afternoon about 3 o'clock. I came to my husband. I was like, I don't feel right. I don't feel right. And I don't know what it is. Okay. So I hauled out everything. I hauled out my O2 stats. I hauled out the thing to test my blood sugars, which I knew it wasn't because I wasn't having those. And my blood pressure cuff. Guess what? My blood pressure had gone into the floor. I don't know why. Every time that happens, I'm like, I don't feel well. I don't feel well. My chest hurts. I don't feel well. It's always that. So I had to lay down yesterday because of that. So I'm doing better today. But yeah, I got to talk about that a little bit too because I was not quite in my real mind last night, and I went on somebody's live stream. It was the same thing the night before. I have got to stay offline, not do videos at night because the drugs that I'm on for nighttime, and that's my blood pressure drugs and all that, they're screwing with my mind, and I'm just going cuckoo lulu and not quite as rational as normal when that happens. Real, I'm not sure. I thought about asking, hey, can you send me that? But here, it's kind of funny. I let them pile up at my daughter's, and I bring them back. So usually by that time, the inserts have faded, which is really good. So I wanted to talk about this question that somebody asked me about what to do um, if you go back to a church that has oversight after being spiritually abused at one of these churches that makes it up as they go, and you get there and they're doing crazy stuff. I just realized yet again this desk shifts so much. So anyway, long story short, my aunt says go back to the church of your childhood. Here's the thing, I don't know. I've come to realize again recently that no place is 100% safe. These bigger churches like the Methodist Church, the Episcopal Church, the Presbyterian Church, the Catholic Church, they can be useful for deconversion, but they're not going to always be 100% perfect. Lisa, join the club. So anyway, long story short, nothing is 100% safe. This morning I got up to such a confloption, I have to talk about it in my Facebook. My husband and I, after we left our quiverful church, we spent 10 years at a Methodist church. It was the largest one in like 4 or 5 counties, huge church. I love the pastor. He was a decent guy. He just didn't understand our journey and what we'd been through. He didn't understand much about Fundytown. And he let some Fundytown influencers slip in occasionally. Well, he's been run out of town on a rail because he wouldn't allow these more fundamentalist type people to take over. And I got up this morning to this. Let me read you this because this is like straight out of my old church and it's taking place in the Methodist church. It's taking place there. I'm not going to say the guy's name, but somebody I know well. He posted this on Facebook. I know I haven't posted very much on the platform, but the Lord is asking me to start putting the information He has revealed to me. On January 13th, 2021, the Lord told me that Trump will remain the president. But I do not know what time or date he will be reinstated, but he will be reinstated fully. Father God said, quote, when the world knows that Trump will continue to be the president of the U.S., there will be a time of preparation for my church. My people need time to prepare for the Great Awakening, and then a revival will spread across this world. This preparation time will help. This is somebody I know that's actually a pretty reasonable person in most ways. But I read this and I'm just like in shock. I wanted to put on there, I don't know what you're drinking, but you need to put it down. This reads so much like something out of my crazy old cult church. So this is my former safe church that this is going on in. And I'm just like, cuckoo. What's really astounding to me is only two people said, hey, buddy, I don't think Trump is the one. Or somebody else said, are you high or nuts or something? The other ones were all fawning over him and elaborating even farther, talking about Trump and Jesus and how they were going to save the world with Trump and make everybody be a Christian. And these were all rational, normal Methodists I know. And now they've drank the Kool-Aid and they've gone off into the whole evangelical weirdness that was the first church that I went to. They're all doing that. And it's kind of blowing my mind. This morning, I fired off an email for that particular church if they need to take a look. It's like, hey, so and so, I know you know me, blah blah blah. Look at this. This is going on. You might want to nip this in the bud. When you see churches where that sort of thing starts going on, and you've left a dangerous fundamentalist type mindset in an old church, and you go to a new supposedly safe one. Hey, Sea Breeze, you go to a new one and they start saying these really cuckoo ludo cuckoo things that don't make any sense. Thank you. What you could do is the only thing you can do is either you can leave and seek another church community that is hopefully not quite so crazy, or you can reach out to leadership and say, hey, this is not right. Now I don't know the new pastor of the church, so I would never reach out to him. But I'm going to reach out to somebody when this stuff goes on that I know at the regional or state level, because that is not at all how the Methodist Church works. And I was just pretty astounded to see that. It would be a very unsafe place if we were going there now, and it is not. So I know that's been the experience of some of you when you've come out of these cult churches and you've tried to find a church that has some accountability, and then they go into this stuff. This stuff needs to be called out and just stamped out everywhere. I don't care what your politics are. The minute you start to try to add anybody from politics to religion and say, God told you, I'm going to look at you like, oh my. I don't know how you guys think I'm all dolled up. I just have on lipstick and earrings and a loose dress. So I'm all about that. Small Town Jewel, I don't quite understand. And I keep reading and hearing people say, oh, well, the evangelicals are going this way to Trump and conflating him with Jesus because X, Y, and Z. I don't know. It's kind of like I saw a study the other day that somebody had done, and this is going to be silly, about people who put their shopping carts up those who put their carts up versus those who don't put the carts up when they shop. I always put my cart up. I put my cart up because I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I want everybody to, I don't want anybody to have to chase my cart or do anything special because that's just the way I am. It's how I'm, uh, thank you, Seabreeze. I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I don't want anyone to ever have to go out of their way for me. I don't want to make everybody's life easier that I have to run across in daily life. I just do. Well, this study said that people that put their carts up value society and societal norms and rules and regulations, and that people who don't put their carts up are independent thinkers, all this other stuff. I don't buy that. And it's like I don't buy that at all. Most of the people I know that do it, if you ask them, they'll say something similar to me. It's I don't want to inconvenience anybody else. I don't want to have a cart sitting out so somebody might get their car dinged. All these different reasons that have to do with looking out for your fellow man, being nice about it. But it's um, when you put your carts up, they were trying to say that hidebound people who follow the rules are the only ones putting their carts up and everybody else is all independent going all over and all this. And I was looking about that as far as the evangelicals, the crazy evangelicals that are fomenting all this and saying all this crap. And I think a lot of them have no concern for their fellow man. They may say they love everybody with the love that Jesus has, but in reality, they really only like their way or the highway. And I think that's what we're seeing in the evangelicals. I think they're the ones that aren't putting their carts up, if you want to term it like that, because they don't give a rat's platoon about anybody but them. They don't think about who it'll harm. And we're seeing this play out in a really horrible, harmful way right now with Afghanistan. I don't know how much you guys have been watching the coverage, but I've been watching the coverage and just in tears some of the days that I've been seeing this. You know, we really don't belong in Afghanistan. We never did. And we've bobbled it so many times through the US that I think we just need to get out. But the way the getting out has occurred under Biden. So I'm a equal opportunity political insulter. I'm just going to come right out and say that. I don't think that any of them are exempt from criticism. If you're going to lead the free world, people are going to call you out. Yeah. I always put my card up to Seabreeze. My kids do too. My son is so adamant about it. He loves this website with this YouTube channel called Cart Narcs. He watches that where it's people confront people who don't put their carts up, and it's pretty crazy. Exactly, Cheryl. Those of us that do it, we do it because we're concerned about we don't want to make anybody else's life harder. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And then you have the people that just do not care. They don't care if they inconvenience anybody. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. That's how it seems to me. And this is all just my opinion. It's conjecture, allegedly. I have to throw that in there so that without a box of Kleenex, can't sue me for stupid stuff. So there's that. So Afghanistan is happening, and I am seeing pictures. I think one of the most amazing ones I saw was a military plane just packed to the gills with people from Afghanistan sitting on the floor, Muslim women in their hijabs and burqas, average looking people. I mean, the whole spectrum, the whole spectrum. So I've been watching this and it's just breaking my heart. It's not at all how we needed to get out. We do need to get out and not fool with and let people run their own countries unless they are harming everybody. Then it needs to be a UN peacekeeping force that goes in and restores the peace and protects the people. That's really what needs to be in Afghanistan. But it's just breaking my heart the way we pulled out and what's going on now with the civilians there. I'm old enough that I remember the last time we had issues with Iraq, with Afghanistan, and we had to pull out. and we had to take people. I used to work with three Mohammeds that were from Afghanistan who told me quite a bit about their lives there, and a bunch of other people from there I've worked with through the years. And it's just a tragic situation all the way around, the way it was done. Oh, Aaron, I heard that too. I was almost, it was sick to my stomach to see him falling off that airplane. It was terrible, terrible, terrible. I just can't. So I'm looking at that and I'm looking at, do we do the right thing there or not? I mean, did we do the right thing? Obviously, we didn't because of the way we're pulling out right now. I would have liked to have seen a pullout that was more orderly and it took into account all those people who are dying to leave now because they know that the Taliban is going to behead them or whatever. Because the Taliban has already said they're going to kill anybody that cooperated with the Americans. Yeah, it had 640 people on it. Yes, usually 180 soldiers with full gear. Um, if they keep running, I forgot the number of those military planes. I used to know the name and all that when my husband was in the military, but that's one of those huge transports, one of the biggest ones they make. And those people are just packed in there. And I'm just praying for the pilots that are doing this because they're having to account for this huge load of people and the weight there and the fuel and all that. And I'm just like, Lord, your mercy on these people, please, please. I'm sure he did, Aaron, because they need that stuff. Afghanistan is really pretty desolate. It's like Syria is now too. Syria is another one of those countries that just breaks my heart with the things that have gone on there, and I don't understand why we're not seeing UN peacekeeping forces coming into these countries that are having this devastation, and the people are just fleeing in droves. It needs to happen. Everybody should have the right to live in peace without fear of being executed because they have the wrong religion. I pound on fundamentalist religions. That's true. I do. I think they suck. I think the Taliban sucks as equally to the new independent fundamentalist Baptists. But the new independent fundamentalist Baptists aren't wholesale executing people. That's the difference. Small town Jewel, I don't know what the COVID rates are in Afghanistan. I would have to take a look at that. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Cheryl, and you're right. I thought that too when I started seeing it. It looks just like when we left Vietnam. Looks very much like that. Particularly at the airport where people were just overwhelmingly trying to climb on the planes and stuff. They're so desperate to get out. And it's the last area of Kabul that is still free of the Taliban. I don't know how anybody could say they have a heart and they can't weep for those people. It's just tragic. And I'd like to see the Red Cross and some of the other aid agencies go in there. Something has to happen. Those people, they deserve better than that. They're humans like the rest of us. So, Small Town Jewel, what did you want to ask me about the Kleenex? Because I'm willing to talk about that. And I have to talk a little bit about last night and the night before. A couple other dumb things. All those women who have been working and playing and going to school, and now they are buying burkas again. Yeah, that is tragic. It's tragic the way they treat the women. They're less than human. And that was one of the things that disturbed me about when they took over, when Iraq and even Iran, when the religious people took over in those areas too. Iran had women that were studying all kinds of things Iraq did too. And as much as we didn't like Saddam Hussein, he gave women the freedom to study and be whatever they wanted. I mean, he was in favor of that. It is horrible that they're going to have to don those burqas again just to survive. Okay, let me see if I can recap. If you look at her Twitter, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on because it's just constant narrative shifting all the time. She's always saying, well, this person did this to me and this person said that and blah, blah, blah. World without end. Yeah, I heard her. I heard that she said that again. I don't believe that, small town Jewel, because I saw that they ruled that all children were going to have their identity protected. Why should Josh's children not be afforded that same thing? I'm going to have to do a little research on that. I don't have a clue why she keeps thinking that that's not going to happen. And that might actually be a good one to ask Emily D. Baker. Yeah, from reading the paperwork that was issued, I think that it covers all of them. That would be my interpretation. But then again, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna have to ask Emily D. Baker about that because it seems rather strange that you protect some children, but you don't protect all of the children. The court system is usually set up so that kids are protected. I hope that they issue his children each somebody not in the family, not connected, like a guardian ad litem for each child, or maybe for the entire group, to protect their rights in this thing. Because I don't see how they could even be compelled to testify. I don't think you can get, I don't think you can compel somebody under 18 to testify. Um, Maybe the courts have ruled on that as far as Josh's kids go, because normally you have to have the permission of the parents. And I can tell you right now, I don't think Anna or Josh will give permission on that. So I'm thinking the kids need their own representative in court, and somebody's going to stand up for them and protect their testimony. If that's going to happen or not, I don't know. That's a good question for Emily D. Baker. I'll have to send it on to her. If we all send it on to her, maybe she'll answer it. I don't know. She gets Aaron. Aaron, what happened with Little Miss Noble and KJ at her hearing on Friday is that 30 people logged on to listen or watch. I don't remember if it was, I can't recall if it was hearing or if it was uh, on live video, like I want to say Skype, but I know that's not it. Whichever meeting it is that we all use the video meeting service. 30 people were logged in, and I don't know for sure what happened, but nobody got to see anything. I believe from what I'm hearing that KJ is trying to make the case that she is a public figure and deserves privacy. So nothing really happened. They kicked the ball 2 months down the road. They're going to have Zoom meetings. So they kicked the ball 2 months down the road, and now she is ranting and raving on her Twitter that it was private and that anybody who was trying to watch had hacked in or had gotten the information from Little Miss Noble. I have to give Joanne Cochran props. She called and she emailed the court there where KJ lives, where this was going on. And the court said absolutely not, said the hearing was open, was freely open to anybody that wanted to watch it. All you had to do was go to the courthouse website and access that and log in. And apparently 30 people did. Well, KJ is now saying they all committed a crime. No, the court there has confirmed that was an open court session that anybody could have gone to. So now is a continuation of that, yes. And I think that probably is going to continue. The restraining order as well is still a TRO. Which is unfortunately, she's saying all this crap about how Little Miss Noble can't talk about anything at all. And she's running her mouth, not realizing that the same order that bounds Little Miss Noble legally bounds her too, yet she's talking. She's violating it. But she does that all the time. Janine, we may all have to be there when they do it again. I don't think that it's going to be closed again. She's not a journalist. She has no way of proving that she is anything but a YouTuber. This has actually been ruled on the courts that YouTubers are considered bloggers. They're not considered journalists. The courts actually ruled on this and cleared it up. So therefore, she's not eligible for any special anything. So I'm hoping that Little Miss Noble, if you're watching or somebody you know, someone who knows she was watching, Please let her know that she should invoke that in 2 months from now when it happens again. Uh, Mermaid, I got people coming to fix stuff, so I can't slop around in my usual holy clothing. So there's that. Oh yeah, that's an old word. That's an old word. I use those old words sometimes. Mm. And she said the kids were not allowed to be spoken to about the situation. She said the police and DCS were not allowed to speak to them. I thought if the police or DCS wanted the kids, they could. Yes, they can. They can take Anna and Josh to court and force that. They can force it. I don't know why KJ is saying they can't. I know that that's Jim Bob's thing about not letting CPS or anyone speak to the kids. And he's pulled that nonsense before himself. So it may be that the Duggars are claiming that the kids shouldn't be spoken to, but absolutely the kids should undergo a kind of forensic exam where people skilled in questioning children about these issues actually do question them. I think we should have a watch party. Maybe we will, Janine. I think that's an excellent idea. Um, Put up a question that I missed. Let me see if I can take a look. Okay, why does she keep saying? Hmm. Okay, I'm still looking for it. Can't read. Can't read. She stated again that Josh's kid's identity and testimony would not be protected. I don't know why she says that. She always says that, and I don't know where in the hell she's getting that from because everything I've seen seems to see that they are going to do exactly that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they can speak to those kids. It may take some legal wrangling. I want to say Anna's due right about now, and she has been. Oh, okay, good. I was kind of confused. I get so distracted. You're right, B. I get real distracted because I have ADD. I always have. I'm just like all over the place, which is why I don't do well with some things. And sometimes I get distracted by the chat, and that happens. Or sometimes, like right now, I'm looking at a mont and going, "Oh, pretty bird." So I do get distracted by those things. But as far as KJ, the thing is, Steve has served her, Steve McRae. So he is suing her for defamation. Chrisley is still collecting evidence and talking to people. Next couple of days, I think he is going to be filing paperwork any moment now. He has sent her a do not delete your stuff legal paperwork, but he hasn't actually served her yet. So there is what we're going to do with that. KJ is just losing it over both those lawsuits. She's been posting continually about settling with Steve and doing a non-disclosure agreement. I don't think that'll happen because I don't think Steve is in it to settle or getting information. Tati Westbrook settled because she wanted the Clark Swanson information. KJ has nothing to offer Steve. Nothing, nothing, nothing. There's nothing she could do except for maybe give her channel to Steve. Everything else is going to be just water under the bridge. It won't happen. She's saying that it's going to happen, that she's going to settle with him, and that is not happening. And I don't think that's happening with Todd Chrisley after talking to him. I think he is in it for blood because she has messed with his relationship with his daughter. And like many people, when you get between someone and their child, especially a Southerner, they will come for you. And that's what I see happening in this thing. Yes, she slandered Steve in the worst way, and now she wants to settle. Yes. Sea Breeze and Aaron, I totally feel that. And that's one thing I don't like. I don't like when people are saying, got to do this, got to do that, and you're having one of those days. Like that's why I was telling the tale of having had the super low blood pressure yesterday. I checked my blood pressure was like 60 over 40. I had to get in the bed. That's one of the things that I have realized and I've done something about since I've been here. When I have those days or I'm in pain, I no longer try to soldier on and be the martyr, which is something I picked up when I was part of the Quiverful movement. If you're a woman and you're suffering, they expect you to suck it up and keep on going. And I know women who are dead now because of that, because they ignored their own needs until they were dead. And I don't think that anybody should do that. The daughter did contact Katie. Leslie, oh wait a minute. I'm not sure if she contacted her or if KJ contacted her. Whether it was KJ, whether it was her, it happens. Somebody contacted somebody and sucked up and pretended to be best friends. The thing now with Lindsay is she is talking to her father through her mother. So she's given him quite a bit of evidence against KJ. And KJ saying, best friends forever. And it's clearly not best friends forever. While Lindsay may not be ready to forgive her father and do the kumbaya moment, it is, yeah, he may not be doing the kumbaya. She may not be doing the kumbaya moment. She's not liking her family being torn down. Is Roadhog still suing KJ? I don't know. Todd Chrisley said there were 3 other people going to sue Katie, and I don't know who those 3 are. Maybe Roadhog is one of them. And yeah, he did say she had no money, but she has that YouTube channel, which is actually considered a financial asset. Yeah, 60/40. I get crazy blood pressures. I get crazy high, I get crazy low. So I'm one of those people that gets that crap, and I just roll with it. If it goes any lower than that, I go to the ER, but what are they going to do? So they have moved my blood pressure meds all along. Here's the thing, 99% of the time I don't have high blood pressure, but every now and then I'll pop a high one, and that's what I had my first stroke. So we're dealing with that. Aaron, yeah, I totally get that too. You don't make yourself you don't make yourself sick for somebody else. And that's one of the hardest things to learn when you have a chronic illness. Sea Breeze, yeah. I can still sort of talk and function then. If it goes any lower, I start losing the ability to speak. It's been crazy. And that's because of blood pressure meds. So they told me the ones I'm on now are not supposed to make that happen, but clearly that's a lie. So I have to have another come to Jesus meeting with my neurologist, I think, about this. How is it Kate's fault if Lindsay lied to KJ? I don't know. I don't think she would have fault, except that here's the thing I'm going to say. Just because somebody tells you something does not mean you have to write an article about it and you have to go on YouTube and blast it everywhere. You don't. There are things that people have told me that I would never do that. I've had so many people come and tell me about their religious trauma and offload about their residential teen treatment center. That's these just really awful, horrible stories. Okay, I would be running to say, oh, did you know about so and so and such and such? I'm not going to do that. If somebody trusts me with their story enough to tell me, I am not going to do that. And there are just some things you just don't talk about. You just don't. You just cannot do that. It would have been one thing if she had listened and just said, look, there's a lot going on between Lindsay and her father. That would have been an entirely different thing. But to go ahead and do what she's done is pretty despicable. And that's where the problem lies. I haven't started physical therapy yet, small town Jewel. I kind of putting that one off because I can't see that I'm going to regain any function more than I am from some of the stuff I'm doing. So there's that. Hey, Melanie. Cheryl, yeah, I try not to, and I don't keep up with Charlotte either. Somebody told me something about Charlotte last night in the stream, and I was like, "What?" It was a pretty bad thing that somebody had done to her. Most reputable media outlets won't run a story unless they verify it from two different people. KJ just hears a whisper of anything and turns on the camera. That is the truth of the matter. And if you're dealing with difficult things like religion especially, and religious abuse, and I consider, even though Josh is a predator, I consider him to be a religious abuse victim as well. So anytime you start talking about these things, it becomes problematic unless you have the person's permission or you're speaking in generalities. You just can't blast it out everywhere. Yeah, she keeps bragging she's BFFs with her. That is going to bite her in the rear end. No, yeah. So she doesn't want anyone going in her personal business, but she thinks it's okay to do it to everyone else. Yes, yes, yes. Level 8 pain on a good day. I see you. I am so sorry to hear that. Mine is more like a 6, maybe, or a 5. And the Lyrica helps so much to make it not matter at all. So there's that with her. She's covering all this nonsense. And I know that a lot of people want me to stream at night, and streaming at night, I have better bandwidth. That's true. And I'm on new bandwidth and all that. But after the last 2 nights, I have to say, I don't think I'm going to continue to do that, or very seldom. Why? Because I have Lyrica brain. At night, I take my Lyrica, I take my things that I have to take to be able to sleep with the pain that I have. I have to take them by a certain time to be able to sleep at a certain time. Not last night, but the night before last, I got on Aaron's site, and I was Aaron's live stream, and I was just completely goofy with my meds, and I was exhibiting and feeling some delicious, delicious Schadenfreude over the whole without a box of Kleenex lawsuit again, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. So there was that. Well, Cheryl, yeah, I don't know if I was okay or not last night on any of that. I did it. I felt like I could have made a better point, and it was the same thing, goofy and Schadenfreude, and starting to shout out email addresses and crap that I probably shouldn't have. But it is what it is, and I try not to be too much like that too often, because I know it's a lot for some people, and I have to respect the fact that Ren is trying not to have any kind of Rio's trying to have no controversies whatsoever. He's trying to do his kumbaya moment, and I have to respect that. Even though I got to say again, I was feeling Schadenfreude, and I was laughing a little bit over the whole KJ thing because it's so stupid and pathetic. If she had real problems, and she had a chronic illness that made her feel like dirt all the time, be very different. Or if she had the kind of real financial problems that I know many people have during this pandemic, or anything like that. Oh, I can share Aaron's channel. Aaron is EKC, ECK, EKC People Suck is her channel. And Aaron was the first one to reach out to Real to listen to him and sort of bring him back in the fold. So she's really done a solid, I think. Anytime you can help another creator improve from bad to better is a good thing. I know I had a few moments of blankly gazing. That was the drugs, which I know, yeah. No one in my family understands except my husband. So I'm lucky that way. But my son says I just want to be in and exaggerate for attention. I hate alcohol too. I love alcohol, but alcohol doesn't love me. It spikes my blood pressure, so I stay the heck away from it. I will say I did a tequila shot yesterday after my blood pressure went low, knowing it'd bring it up some, and it did. Oh, Aaron, I think we all have to make our own decisions on that. I heard last night from people who hated him on night before last on Aaron's, and not my favorite person in this whole world, but he's one of the many people that I rub up against, so that I'm going to let him have his thoughts, and I'm going to be friendly to him. I consider him more of a lower level friend. He's not a super close one, but everybody has to make those decisions. Yeah. So I was on his channel. There was a lot of things I wanted to say I didn't say. Like I said, that day and the day before, I talked quite a bit with Todd Chrisley. And like I said, I am convinced from talking to him. Before, I was not really sure. He is not going to back down. He's not going to back down until he wins and he has her channel. I just can see that he is red hot angry, and it's a sustaining fire because she messed with that relationship. Aaron, yeah, there are people that I won't waste my time and energy on. One of them is JJ, and she kept coming in here. She kept coming in everybody's streams and attacking and just being silly. Now she's decided to attack me, and it's actually kind of funny. Last night when I went on Ren's stream, they were all talking about it, and Ren kind of took me to town, tried to dress me down for using the word knitter, except I spell like knitta. I worked at an art studio for years and years and years. I took art lessons. I did this. I mean, I've taught art lessons. I taught crochet, all kinds of things. That's my part-time job for like forever. And I've been part of crochet and knitting and other communities that do the arts for years. Knitter please is a term we've all just kind of co-opted that we use to mean whatever. So I had done a comment on one of Ren's videos that JJ had come in there and said that by contacting Chrisley, I had gone real life. And instead of explaining why I did it, I just was like, knitter, please. And she took that as a racial slur. And some of Ren's moderators took that as a racial slur. It was not meant in that way. It was meant as in knittery, knitting, crocheting. Crocheter, please, does not have the same ring, or I would use it. But I can see that people could be offended by that, so I'm going to have to take that out of my public lexicon. Yes, it is personal. Tati, I think it was a lot less personal. A lot less personal. We're going to have to, Aaron. We're going to have to, especially now that I'm making these curtains and I'm pulling my hair out because I screwed up at first and had to go back. Yeah, I hate. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Offend anyone, and yeah, I don't play that anymore. I discovered 6 months ago one of KJ's subs was accusing me of having said the N-word. And I finally figured out it was whenever I would just get mad with one of those subs that was saying something, I'd say, knitter, please. And they would hear that as the N-word. And I never want to have anybody do that. And JJ is going to find something to complain about. If I walked up to her dressed like a princess and handed her $1 million bill and a diamond ring, she would have something ugly to say about it. Even if it was something as simple as saying, well, why didn't you give me smaller bills? So there are just some people in life that you can't please. And it's ridiculous to even attempt to please them because you can't. So you just have to write those people off and say, whatever. Yes, I will use it in my knitting groups because we do that. We say that. So that's just the way. You heard it. What did she say? So there's that. We've got to retire these stupid things sometimes. And language is progressive. It moves along. Like I always say, I will have to do in small town, Jewel. I'm doing some macrame. I haven't done macrame in ages, but my neurologist said because I am having problems with my left hand that I should do some hand-intensive crafts that aren't crocheting. So I did macrame and I didn't do it so well. Now I'm in the phase where I'm trying to dye the macrame strings, and it is a crazy bit. So I think I'm going to have to. I've got to show you someday my my curtains. I'm working on them, and it's basically like an Afghan. I'm going to hang small one. It's my cash the other day about her glasses. Yeah, I saw that. They're not. They are, I think they're a knockoff of Gucci. They're not real. They're some kind of knockoff. They have a big G in silver on the side. I don't know. I got them at Costco here, so I know they're not the real deal. I know they're some kind of knockoff. So there's that. Thank you, mermaid. I have no desire to make people feel uncomfortable or angry. And you have to do that occasionally. Like I said, language is progressive, and the best insults are German. Germans have these long compound words that are completely awesome that they insult people with. They're not far from Gnugen. They have all these things. There was one, I wish I could remember the whole thing. It was like lesbian something or other. And it meant a man that was so macho that when he was finished with his girlfriend, she became a lesbian. So there was all these crazy German insults I have to look up. I used to know them all when I lived in Germany. They were always pretty funny. I don't know if crocheting is easier. I have a hard time with knitting. I don't understand it. I don't have the tension right. I'm counting on Carolyn Ironwood will when she moves here and teach me how, because I've tried it. I've tried teaching it. My job for years at the art studio chain, my little part-time job so I could buy my supplies and discount. They tried to teach me, and it just in one ear and out the other. But crocheting I'd been doing since I was like 12. Oh, the loom knitting. That's a lot of fun too. That is a lot of fun. I think that this is a popular style now because I've seen so many different ones in different manufacturers. I mean, even I have one of my old pairs. It's a similar style that's in blue. It's in dark, dark blues and blacks, which I can no longer wear because of the stroke. My vision is so much worse all of a sudden that all my old glasses are useless. I should just donate them somewhere. Mermaid, I don't know why. I don't know why. I envy those people that can do them. You can crochet and you can knit at the same time. And tapping is interesting. I have never done it, but I've seen that. Wow. So I know where now mine are knockoff. It is. Seabreeze, it is incredibly expensive. And some of the yarns I've gotten this last trip, I didn't get expensive ones. I have some expensive ones I've used very slowly and for different projects. But for this curtain, I just went with what I thought was colorful from Lion Brand yarns. I used their shawl and a ball yarns for this. I am on Twitter. I'm on Twitter right now as I think it's like Suzanne TitkE or something like that. And I'm also as Suzanne the Salty, and I forgot what else I put on it. Oh, Suzanne the Untouchable Salty Silverfish, because KJ called me a silverfish, and it's like I just was laughing over that. Waxy said I thought I was untouchable. No, I don't think I'm untouchable. And my husband's always accusing me of being super salty. And I gotta say, one really funny thing about the Ren thing last night, and you probably saw my eyes glaze over, and I started doing this. My husband came in the room and shot across the vision, and I thought he was naked. Later, I said, when I got finished with the video, I was like, "Did you just run across the room naked in front of the camera when I was talking?" It's like, "No, I had underwear on." And I was like, because I really don't want to contribute to somebody being able to say, "Ren had a naked man on a stream, naked, naked, naked. He violates." I did not, and I wanted to be able to say um, that he wasn't naked. My husband likes to swim naked. I don't do that. I think it's a little different with it's a little bit different with women. Hang on, I'll give you my exact handle. I'll pull up Twitter. I don't know. I've changed it a few times because it's so silly. Particularly when somebody insults me, I'll just embrace that and go with it because it's actually kind of a funny thing. Okay, let me pull that up. Okay, why did they change this on me? Suzanne, the untouchable salty silverfish. Suzanne, Titkeme 2. That is my Twitter handle, and I love Twitter. It has been so much fun. Cheryl, they all taught handiwork when they were young. People have not picked up on that, but there's a whole young community I see of people coming up and realizing that knitting, crocheting, that handiwork is actually a lot of fun and very beneficial too. Very beneficial. Yeah, so my husband swims naked. I won't do it because things flop around. If you're a woman, I don't like my boobs floating up to my chin when I'm in deep water. Maybe, Aaron, that might be a good idea. Janine, I probably would have been too, but I restrained myself. I had this really good friend named Nigel Benjamin. I met Nigel originally when I was like 15, 16 years old. And I've known him all these years. I'm 61 now. Nigel died 2 years ago. When Nigel got on Facebook and he kept being banned, he was my good friend for if we wanted to, he'd say, we got to go into Fox newsrooms and dispute this because people were saying stupid stuff. He and I would go into these places and just fight about politics. I was lucky. I never crossed the line where I got banned, but he got banned oodles and oodles of times. And this election, I was just looking at all the misleading statements and things and thinking, Nigel, where are you? Why did you have to go ahead and die? Why did you die on us like that? Because he was possibly one of the wittiest men I've ever known in my life, but he could also be so angry and go over the top at people too. So it was pretty funny that we were friends all these years. Cheryl, I hand dye fabrics in quilt too sometimes, and sometimes I will hand paint what I need on a fabric if I can't find. When I was in the States, I carried back a ton of Waverly fabrics that I'm going to use in my kitchen. I'm going to do a kitchen quilt because I've got this huge countertop that we don't ever use. I'm going to put a quilt on it underneath all my bowls of fruit that I keep out. Janine, yeah, I know it's pretty crazy. Oh, Broad New Country, I love that. I'll have to look you up and then friend you because that's anybody can find me and friend me now. I was locked up for a long time because I had a very determined stalker. I have the stalker blocked and all of their alliterations, all of their different names they use, their real name, all their fake names. Whenever a sock puppet of them pops up, everybody tells me who they are, and it's boom. Rena Rue said I had her blocked, and I think I have her unblocked. Now I'm going to try. I'm going to try and see if I can unblock her more. So many lies. You're right. So many lies and mean morons. Janine, you're right. And it was really hard during this election on all of them. Whenever you come back to the States and your hubby is coming to do extra suit, I do that every time, Small Town Jewel. I make him do that. I have these big, humongous black suitcases. And when we go to the States, we have our clothes in teeny tiny suitcases in the middle of these gigantic, enormous suitcases. Then on the way back, we each have two suitcases. He will sometimes fuss and cry about the cost of paying for two suitcases at the airport. I always have a long list, just simple things like an outdoor thermometer. I can't tell you how long I would have to search and where before I might be able to find something like that. I probably went to 20 places and I couldn't find it. So it went on my US list. If it's something like that that I really want, I'll put it on the US list. Aaron, they probably don't. They probably do not. It's hard to know who people are on Twitter. I know. I've made sure to keep my name at least sort of like mine to make sure. Yeah, I have to start my list. Cheryl, I don't know if you have a list, but you're in a place where it's a little easier to shop. I know because I've shopped there. And I love living in Europe. I really did when we lived there. And I never had a problem with having to bring things back like I do here. Germany was like crocheting, knitting heaven. I used to walk into this one department store and they had one wall that was yarn. That was it. I mean, it was like incredible. And really nice wool yarns and many natural fiber yarns that were actually pretty inexpensive compared to the US. Now I know everything's gone up, and when the euro came, everything went crazy as far as the cost. So there's that. And I'm suddenly sweating my ass off. I don't know what happened here because it's not that hot outside. It's only 77, which is what we run our AC at here. So yeah, I need to go I need to yeah, Cheryl, that's what I do. You pack lightly on the way there, you come back. And I started even doing even crazier. This time when I left, I only packed 3 outfits and I bought a ton of clothes. I had to because most of my clothes I had had here for years or so, and I had them in the States, a lot of them. And I just had tons of holes. I had so many holes, it was ridiculous. I think I'm going to have to look and see if I can find some yarn, some like cloth yarn tutorials and do some rag rugs out of them because I just have a ton of stuff now. And now that I'm here, I hate to throw anything away because you never know if you can replace it. If there's a second or third use for everything, that's one thing I've learned here is to use everything 2 to 3 times. You have to, because if you don't, you will get you won't live as well. I'm just going to say that. Figure out. I still am. I still occasionally publish a piece to John O'Pearce, who has Tippling Philosopher, in contact with Andrew Hall. I've been on his show a couple of times. So I do have some contacts, and I might reach out and see what anybody said. I gave Todd Chrisley the names of everyone that she'd been making out. Has the Westbrook lawsuit to do the no comment thing, to say nothing. Well, I'm no longer working there. I'm not bound by that anymore. And I think that if he gets anybody to say anything about her time at Pathos, it'll be the people who've left, who knew her and had interactions with her at Pathos. So that she left a trail of unhappiness when she left. That's